I always use terminal as my main way of orchestrating work, navigating my code bases. It's kind of the lifeblood of the development I do. And I'm a bit sick, particularly as using agents has sped up the rate at which I'm doing stuff, or often I'm doing lots of stuff across projects in parallel. It's making terminal really difficult to navigate. I'm a bit sick of like opening a new window, changing my directory, creating a Claude instance, setting it off doing something, creating another Claude instance, setting off doing something, maybe in a work tree. Then, oh, I did something on remote, or that's merged. Now I have to get pull. And all the time, I'm building this ever-growing collection of windows. And then, oh, my tab over here needs action, like it's asked me to confirm a command. Basically, terminal is a bit of a nightmare. And more advanced terminals like Kitty and tmux are good and give you like multi-pane layouts and stuff like that. But ultimately, I'm looking for something that is sort of natively agentic, natively quick at the things that I want to do, and built for the kind of workflows that I'm doing every day. So I've been building Saga, that's how it's pronounced, and it's kind of a companion to a IDE I've been working on. And at its core, it's just a terminal application. So this is the same kind of terminal that you saw in the other application. And indeed, I use Zush, so I can open my Zush config. I can type which node. It's set up shell-wise exactly the same as my other terminal. But there's loads of other nice features. So rather than just working through terminals that are kind of orphaned and have a context of a directory, we're pulling through here as projects each of the repos on my device, grouped into spaces by their kind of common parents. And I can access those also from my command palette. And so if I type here an example, a repo I live in fairly frequently, I could favorite it if I wanted to. And this repo, when I clicked it, I've got a terminal I can start using. I've also got the project itself. So projects are ultimately a repo plus some additional application-specific metadata for Saga. I've got a nice UI for the README. I've also got a runbook, which pulls through, in this case, NPM scripts, and I can choose to add them to my runbook, which gives me quick access to them in my command palette. So I can even add them to my UI if I want to, giving me really quick access to the commands I do every day. We've got history, so terminals that you've kind of done stuff in the repo are not only logged, and you can manage how many and how long they're kept for and stuff, but they're also recoverable in one click. So here my Claude is resumed, and then finally you've got jobs. So this is just like a nice kind of cron based utility where I can set, for instance, this one is set to tidy up GitHub issues, and it spawns a Claude instance and then passes through this command. So every week now, this will automatically spin up a terminal, and it will triage my GitHub issues, and I don't really need to interact with it at all. Now, we've got the concept of a terminal. It's essentially a bit like a tab. And when you're using Claude or Codex or whatever agents you use, that's quite nice for, having in one place each of the kind of actions that are happening. You've got this quick button up here for creating new terminals, and Fable 5 is just the last one I created. I can create a blank terminal. I can set up a Codex terminal. And it remembers kind of what I'm using. I'm finding it really useful to switch between Fable 5 and Sonnet, for instance, for like really quick, snappy responses on complex tasks. The nice thing here is we're also detecting what's happening in those terminals. So in this case, it's requesting interaction from me, and I could, even without going to it, I could just, let's go somewhere else. I'd click yes. I can even, if I'm feeling particularly daring, turn on turbo mode, where it will just auto approve everything. And unlike, obviously I can achieve that through changing my Claude config, but that is absolutely changing your Claude config rather than just for like one session or one command. I want you to just approve everything. Then, so that you saw the needs interaction needed from the user and the turbo mode. Maybe I want to keep my two things, keep sight of these two jobs at the same time. So I've got split view. Maybe more useful for like seeing, I don't know, git diff and then triaging the code, or generally Claude jobs can be quite set and forget because they'll tell you when they're needed or when they're done. You've also got monitor views. So if I want to, for instance, set up, like run in this case it's a website, so I'm going to click npm run start, and in this monitor view, so it's just a small kind of pop over window in the top right, that is going to keep going, and it will follow me around the project. So as I switch windows, I can keep that context. If I go to different projects, disappears. If I come back, it comes back. So that's really nice. And in this case, it's my personal website, and that's loading. And we try and do some smart things like parsing key metadata from the run. So it's green at the moment, and we show success pulled out at the top. If that was your test suite, we might show there's errors and that it needs your attention. There's also, so something I often find is like I might make some local changes, make some changes in a work tree, merge that in without leaving my current view. I want a quick way of going like git pull. So that's a quick command. It pops up a terminal in the bottom right, executes it, and if it passes, so if it's a green exit, it throws the terminal away again and it's gone. So you've got monitor, they stay, quick commands come and go. And that one particularly I love, because otherwise I just end up with endless kind of terminal tabs building up. What else we got? We've got windows, so I can pull this out into its own window, throw it back in. And that's kind of a nice, if I want to, keep my, have two windows in different tabs, different screens, then I can maintain that kind of multi-window approach. I can also, I think I've shown you restore, but yeah, so we've got that kind of history and resume. It isn't just resuming from here, but if like Saga crashes or we quit, we can pick up exactly where we left off, and it will restore all of these open projects and their terminals. And then we've got some interesting kind of rich content stuff. So here we're referring to a website, and by hovering over that URL, I get a preview of it. And we got similar for files. So let's find a file. Don't know, presumably it will have looked at the file at some point. Yeah, so here I can see a preview of the file, and I can even reveal it in terminal. It's appeared in my other, oh yeah, here you go. So, and I could open that in my IDE as well. Then the command palette is kind of the heart of the dev experience, and we've got lots of shortcuts and stuff, but everything you want to do is accessible here. And everything you can do in Saga is also exposed in a CLI. So you can actually kind of have this feedback loop where, you know, a Claude instance lives in Saga, but then controls your window. And if you give it a Claude skill, you could have it, Claude would know to bring you to a different tab or open a new terminal and like set off a command for you. And then you can also have predefined custom terminals. Like I said, you know, these models are the presets. We've also got work trees. You can open, you know, Opus in a new work tree, and when that terminal's made and the work tree is set up, then you see in the UI like that it lives under a different grouping. It just takes a minute to kind of populate through, because I think screen record is like killing my computer. And then finally, it's worth taking a look through the settings to see like what you want to change. So there's installing the CLI, change your preference in terms of IDE. There's an onboarding flow where you can set up the agents you want to use. There's an account that you will need for one of the features, which I'll talk about in a second. You can set turbo by default on all things. You can manage different settings for each agent, and I'll expand this as we go. Set preferences for projects. This is where I mentioned the history, having how many terminals you want to keep track of. Also, experimentally, remote control. So obviously, remote control with Claude gives you access to Claude on your machine in a given terminal window. But with this, you actually have in your this is iPhone mirroring on Mac, but this is actually running on my real device. If I refresh, then I can see all my sessions and they match there, and I can even go and, you know, I don't know if that was visible, but here I click focus here, and it can control the focus on the Mac and take me to that window and stuff. And that's the work tree from earlier finally kind of come through. You can click through and see the terminal. You can see the status. You can. I think I've got it in sort of approve mode, not drive mode. So if you've got drive mode, you can actually type arbitrary commands into the terminal. If you're in drive mode, you can just click continue, or you know, you can approve the 1, 2, 3 if it's waiting for that. Yeah, so this is the first MVP of Saga, and would really appreciate you testing it for, you know, in battle testing it in your real workflow. Don't enable remote control if you're not needing that and you're worried about the security implications of that. But it is account bound and it's quite secure device pairing, and you can run it on local area network only and things like that. And yeah, take it for a spin, see what you feel.